Welcome once again back to the lab. It is your old Professor Pilk. Now, we have a little bit to talk about today because we got a new raid coming in Scarlet and Violet, but I'll be honest with you. The most I can really tell you is that it is a dragon type Alolan Executor. And so if you have the DLC, congratulations. It's just another normal 5-star raid. It's just not very hype to me. Definitely not on the level that that shiny Rayquaza was or anything like that. So for me personally, my Switch stays offline. I'm going to continue farming Rayquaza. I think it just makes the most sense. And it's a tougher fight. It's more fun in my opinion. It is what it is, okay? We do have a little bit of Legends ZA news. So we'll talk about that closer to the end here. So stay tuned for that. As far as Scarlet and Violet goes, it is what it is now. When we get more news, we'll talk about it. I was really hoping we get news of, you know, a better raid or a new event or maybe even some codes. Nothing so far. So just a major dry spell. So it leads me to believe that we are prone to get some Legends ZA news very soon. We do know one thing that was leaked was that at the end of February 27th, on Pokemon Day, there's going to be a Pokemon Direct, but there kind of always is, or if not, there's something similar. So there's, you know, that's not really news. That's not really a leak. Like, I know data miners were like, we found a thing. And we all went, congratulations, you found the obvious. Appreciate it. So, you know, we'll know more around that time, but we still have like a month and a half to wait for that. So, you know, just don't wait with bated breath. It is going to be what it is going to be. Now, we do need to talk a little bit about Legends ZA, but I'll talk about that here at the end. We're going to talk Nintendo Switch 2 because that's, I think, the biggest topic right now, and there's a lot of drama around this. So for those of you that don't know, CES last week, there was this company, Genki, that makes aftermarket parts for, you know, various manufacturers, Nintendo and all that stuff. And they really had made a big ruckus because about a week out of CES, they announced that they were going to do a panel on the Nintendo Switch 2, among other things. Turns out it was just a peripheral panel, but which, I mean, you can guess it's exactly, you know, they're a manufacturer of parts, but it looks like a lot of these are very are Nintendo official things. So there's some interesting stuff to come out about this. So they had a full mock-up of the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, when we first started getting Nintendo Switch 2 data, there was a lot of talk there was going to be a folding screen, and there was so much craziness going around. It looks like it's just a slightly upgraded Switch. It's a little bit bigger. You can see the picture down here where it's just slightly larger. I do like the Joy-Con arrangement. I like that kind of angled. I don't know if that's Genki's specific thing, but it looks very ergonomic. I actually like that a lot. If it's not Genki, if that's the official, congratulations to Nintendo. That's fantastic. If it is Genki's, whatever, good for them. But this is a mock-up, not an actual working Switch 2, but a mock-up of it. And it shows you how these Joy-Cons connect. There's actually, I got a video of it. Funny enough, I have it right here. There we go. So this is the mock-up they have of the Switch 2, and you see that those just kind of slide on, slide off, and it looks like theirs actually has kind of a little clamp on the back, but it shows you the official one here where they just kind of clamp in, clamp out. Instead of the little buttons on the top of the regular Joy-Cons we have now, there's almost that little trigger-looking attachment you see right there. So a neat little arrangement. I actually like that a lot. I had no real arguments with the Joy-Cons on the Switch 2. I think they're fantastic. But it looks like a slight improvement over that system, so, you know, nice. But like I said, there's that little flop there, but I think that's more their case than much of anything else. There's that angled Joy-Con I was talking about right there, and they'll show you here in a moment the size difference between the Switch. See, this is supposedly the Switch 2 and the original Switch. I think it's I don't believe it's the OLED. I think it's the regular Switch, but nevertheless, interesting stuff. It's on cycle right now, so it's all the same stuff we saw before. But very, very neat. Oh, and there's their charger. Their charger apparatus looks really cool, too. But that's Genki's. That's not Nintendo official or anything. But this is all straight up out of CES. Just really cool stuff that Genki was showing off, you know. Looks really neat. I'm stoked for this. I think this is going to be fantastic. Now, We still do not have a date, but Nintendo themselves, because that looks like 3D printed right there, but I'll take it. You know, like they said it was a mock-up. Now, I do want to say the big ruckus here was that when all this came out, there was talk that Genki has a working Nintendo Switch 2 that they're like kind of keeping to themselves. There was a news article about it and all that. That's neither been confirmed nor denied, but Nintendo was not terribly happy with what they showed off. Nintendo, in fact, was very, very, very upset. I don't remember if there was an official lawsuit or anything there, but there was a lot of just heat between Nintendo and Genki over what had happened there. So this looks pretty. I mean, Nintendo would not be upset if this was all fake, if this was all just nonsense. And I don't think Genki's going to make some nonsense. I think this is as close as they thought they could get to a reveal without an actual reveal. So take that at face value. Here's another look at that docking station there, and you see everything's kind of at an angle. I really do like that. I think that's going to be very ergonomic. But that is just a charging station. So basically be able to like click those in and out and charge them. That's a Genki item. Shout out to Pori Leaks. Pori Leaks either retweeted or tweeted a bunch of this stuff out. So I really do like Pori. There are other leakers on Twitter and whatnot, but Pori's the one I kind of stand by. Not been led wrong too often by Pori. And when Pori gets information that is kind of like sus, you know, generally speaking, there is a salt, you know, take this with a grain of salt type warning. So good looking stuff though. Like this is really awesome. I definitely like what we're seeing out of the what information we have from CES here. And there's a little bit more to look at here. Now we do know that Nintendo, there's a video of how they dock. This is their little docking apparatus. This is all like a 3D mock-up of it. But when it goes back here in just a second, it'll show you. But there's a almost like a little trigger. Oh, this is really cool. This is the official, but it looks like there's these swappable hand grips, which is really nice. And if we kind of back up there for a minute, I think it'll show it again. But there's almost like a stand now, so you'll actually be able to stand it up and use it standalone. Let's go back here and kind of look at that. So you see right here in the center here, this little thing that looks like a stand, and then those grips that look like they're interchangeable. So that's very nice. And there's the dock and how everything looks, just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And this is all official from Genki. This is not some third party like weird like, oh, we got a blah blah blah. I mean, it's third party, but it's not like a not like speculators, not like leakers, not people that have done, you know, like deep dives and stuff. This is actually somebody who is manufacturing parts for Nintendo. So very interesting to see. And this is based on everything we've seen here. This person's done a mock-up of what the Switch 2 is going to look like. Now, release date is still tentative, but Nintendo themselves said back in November they're looking at Q1 of the next fiscal year, which starts in April. So you can best get April or May. Most likely we are going to get something. I'm willing to bet it's going to be April. Everything seems really close. It seems like everybody's got some kind of an apparatus out. It looks like dev kits are out there in hands. There's been way too many really good looking leaks. Not like the leaks we've had in the past. These all look very, very, very good. And a lot of the stuff is starting to look very similar. And I don't think it's been 3 or 4 months since we've had something that kind of deviated from this whole thing. So it looks good. This looks like it is all coming together. Here's another kind of picture of it comparing side by side. Let's scroll that down a little bit here. And shout out to this guy for making all these mock-ups. But this looks like this is about... Actually, it looks a little bit bigger than the one we saw. Maybe the one we saw in that last video might have been like an OLED screen or something. Let's go back to the video here for a second. There it is. Let's see if we can just scroll through here and find it. Right here towards the end, there it is. So it looks like... It's close. It's close. Yeah, actually, I take that back. It looks about right because the red Joy-Con there would be... Yeah, that looks about right. That looks legit. So it's going to be a slightly bigger device, not obscenely bigger. I think if they go too much bigger, it's going to be too big to be like handheld. But very nice. And it looks like it's very robust, very well thought up. I actually really do like this. Now, here's what's really interesting. Now, once again, take this with a grain of salt, but it looks like here on the Australian GameStop's database, somebody that works at GameStop now noticed that Switch 2 peripherals, micro SDs, this charging grip in here, are all able to be ordered. It says 0 in stock, but it looks like they're able to be ordered. Now, probably those probably won't be fulfilled for months, but the fact that they're able to, that it's even in there, like even if it was a mistake, it's in their official point of sale system. So if that is the case, as somebody who's worked on point of sale systems, obviously these things are generally logged in much earlier than the item releases, usually a couple of months just to battle test it and things like that. So it looks like the release date is coming soon. We won't know, but I'm going to guess we're probably going to find out before the month is out. I'm going to guess. Maybe not, but I would be fully and completely shocked if we didn't have something more very soon. There was somebody that was doing a countdown into the 8th, and we really needed new information at that point. But who knows, guys? It's just really, really hard to tell. Like, at this point, there's so much data, and it's so close that I just feel like any day now we can get information. Now, my kind of final point I wanted to talk about here today was Legends EA. It looks like it, and somebody did correct me before, I heard Legends E Alpha earlier. Apparently it is Legends EA. Now, I do want you to take this with a major grain of salt. All right? This is something I feel like is a bit sus. And I'll talk about it for a couple of reasons, but I have one really, really, really big reason I'll talk about here at the end. But apparently on Amazon, somebody listed Pokemon Legends ZA for the Nintendo Switch, releasing on April 15th. So, and at $49.99. Now, a couple of things really alert me to the fact that this is completely fake and probably just a troll. But first things first, I guess I should say. No, I'm not going to get into we'll get to the nitty gritty last. Let me just say, I feel like this is going to release earlier. We did get that leak that said there might be the remake game that drops later on in the year. And I think a remake game would be a bigger, better seller for the holiday season than Legends ZA would be for the, I mean, it's going to be a hype game no matter what. But Legends games aren't the entry-level games. Legends games are not the games that you want most people to jump into as their first Pokemon game. I'm sure people do, and I'm sure it happens, and I'm sure it's very confusing when you go to play another game. But I don't think a Legends game is a good jumping-off point. And I think Pokemon is aware of this. I think Game Freak is completely aware. I say Pokemon. I think Game Freak's completely aware of this. So I am more willing to bet that this is going to launch earlier in the year, but here's my big point that I think this is sus. Number one, the price. It's not going to be $49.99. It's going to be $59 or $69. Probably $59, I'm going to guess. Maybe $69, being that it's going to be, a Switch 2 game, not a Switch game like it shows here. So I think that's the first thing that kind of alerts me this is a troll. I do not think they're going to launch it at $50. I think this is going to be a $60 to $70 game. That is kind of the going price point on a lot of games now. I want to say Scarlet and Violet was a $60 game. I don't think Legends EA is going to drop anything less than that. So that's number one, okay? Number two is the fact that this says it's for the Nintendo Switch, when I doubt sincerely that the Switch is going to be able to handle this with any level of certainty. Now, will it be backwards compatible with the Switch? Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if it would operate on the Switch, but it's probably going to be designed for the Switch too. Now, will they have a similar cartridge system? I'm going to guess probably. I mean, it's basically just an SD card adjacent cart. It's really not that big of a deal. Like, you could literally load the same game on the same card. Maybe they have a slightly bigger cart with like an extra pin out or something like that. We haven't seen carts yet, but we'll have to see what happens when the time comes. But I don't think it's going to be for the Nintendo Switch. I think it's going to be Switch 2. It may not be Switch 2 exclusive, but I think honestly, if anybody can pull it off, Game Freak can pull it off. I think Switch 2 exclusives could definitely be like first year Switch 2 exclusives. If anybody could do it, Game Freak can manage it. I mean, let's face it, Nintendo games sell consoles. It is a thing. I said before, and I'll say it again, I would be not at all shocked if this was a launch game for the Switch 2. There's zero parts of me that would be surprised by that. So the fact that we have all this information on the Switch 2, that we have not heard anything from Game Freak on Z Alpha or ZA. I got to get used to saying ZA again. I got programmed for the other one. I'm not going to claim it, but I think it'd be really cool. There's a part of me that doubts it, but I would still give it like a 50-50 chance if we are truly getting another remake at the end of the year. I don't think they're going to launch 3 games in 3 months. I think if they're going to launch this game, launching it early, and we're talking like April, May, June, and then dropping another game like November, December makes sense. Once again, when Legends Arceus dropped, it dropped right about this time, and then the remake. I'm sorry, not the remake. Scarlet and Violet. In this case, the remake, but then Scarlet and Violet dropped a little bit later. So I don't think it makes sense for them to drop Legends ZA in August and then drop the remake or whatever if we truly are getting that later on. Now, if ZA does drop in August, we'll find out. We're going to know in a month and a half. We will absolutely know for certain in a month and a half. That Nintendo Direct on Pokemon Day is not going to drop without giving us a release date on this, or at least a timestamp. They'll be like, okay, coming spring this year, coming fall this year, coming September this year, something like that. I doubt highly August is going to be the release date. It could be. It wouldn't be the first time that we've had that happen with a Pokemon game, but I personally doubt it. But that's all the news. I was really hoping for more Scarlet and Violet stuff. I was hoping for a little bit more hype. I thought we'd have more concrete details, but that is what we know at the moment. So this one to take with a heavy grain of salt. Switch 2 stuff, I would say we're going to find out more really, really soon, but I would be shocked if it was later than May for the release of that new product. So we're getting close, guys. Stay tuned. As soon as we get some more details, I'll cover it. But this is essentially all the craziness from the last week at CES and then some. And make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date. See you again real soon.